Hey guys! Yesterday, Mike brought by all of the Fiction Writers Review advanced reading copies. These are all books that are upcoming and seeking review. I have gone through all of them. I've separated out the ones that I think you'll be the most interested in. There are 12 of them, and I'm just going to quickly tell you about them in this video and show you the covers, because for better or worse, I think they compel us, and all that matters really is that we're compelled. Okay, first. Navidad and Matanza by Carlos Labe. The front says, begins to fuck with your head from the very first word. It's the summer of 1999 when the two children of wealthy video game executive Jose Francisco Vivar, Alicia and Bruno, go missing in the beach town of Matanza. Long after their disappearance, the people of Matanza and the adjacent town of Navidad consistently report sightings of Bruno on the beach, in bars, gambling, while reports on Alicia, however, are next to none. And every story and clue keeps circling back to a man named Boris Real. At least that's how the story, or one of many stories rather, goes. All of them are told by a journalist narrator who recounts the mysterious case of the Vivar family from an underground laboratory where he and 6 other subjects have taken up a novel game, writing and exchanging chapters over email. While they wait for the fear-inducing drug hedone to take its effect and for their uncertain fates. A literary descendant of Roberto Bolaño, work of metafiction, and this is Open Letter Press. Okay, The Petals in Your Eyes by Amy Parkinson. This is, what's my favorite? Okay, I found a really good blurb for this one. Like a goddaughter of Angela Carter, Parkinson builds this delirious poem in prose carefully, making a world of power madness, melancholy, puppets, and vines. Read it for its erotic prose and lyrical weirdness. Well, I think that sounds very promising. The front cover has some sort of dead bat skeleton, and the back cover has a bird skeleton, and then also some folks that are made of fire. And that's Stargrown, I never know how to say that, in May. Murray Farish, Inappropriate Behavior. I think this looks really, really good. If nobody calls this one, I'm going to take it. Because the top blurb is from Elizabeth McCracken, who calls it the best first collection I have read in years. Darkly funny, altogether brilliant. This is a terrific, strange book. This is a shorter collection of short stories. Here is the author, Murray Farish. He teaches at Webster University in St. Louis. Is this a debut? Yes, and this is his debut. Oh, that's Milkweed Editions. So because that's a smaller press book, we can cover this. We can take as long as it takes. Of course, we want to cover it the month of its release. But don't write it off if you can't get to it in time. You know what I mean. Okay, I'm also very excited about this one, although this is going to be a big book. Highs the Horses' Bridles, debut novel, Scott Cheshire, very brooding-looking fellow in the back with hair, shiny, folded hair. An electric debut novel of faith, family, and a father and son divided by a dangerous prophecy. The protagonist, Josiah Loudermilk, evangelical Christianity, 1980 Queens nightclub, a tent revival in Kentucky, 19th century Kentucky. I think there might be a sex reassignment surgery. Yeah, this is one of those. He put all the things in this book. I think it looks great. A great new American epic, nothing less than Dostoevskian. That's Philip Meyer for you. Other big books. A Fairy Tale. This is a translated novel by Jonas T. Bankston from Other Press. This is an anarchist father and a young boy who are in Denmark, and there's been an assassination, and they're moving from rural Denmark into Copenhagen under mysterious circumstances, and they have a peculiar, intimate, and fraught relationship. And And then I think this takes place during sort of two times, when the guy was a kid and then when he's grown up and he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Spanning the mid-1980s to the early 21st century in Copenhagen, this coming-of-age novel examines what it means to be a stranger in the modern world and how, for better or worse, a father's legacy is never passed on in any predictable fashion. I think one of the press releases said that this book is like if the road were not about emptiness, but about intimacy and fullness. Sounds interesting. Okay, this is Grey Wolf's lead title, Song of the Shank. It's a very big book, very big novel. And this is from Jeffrey Renard Allen, the author of the novel Rails Under My Back, the story collection Holding Pattern, and 2 collections of poetry. Raised in Chicago and now living in New York, he teaches at Queens College and in the writing program at the New School. And this was inspired, the author, there's a note from the author on the back that says, I first learned of Blind Tom in the pages of Oliver Sacks's An Anthropologist on Mars. To illustrate the phenomenon of an autistic savant, Sacks recounts the life of Tom Wiggins, born a slave in Georgia in 1849. Before he was 10 years old, Tom became the first African-American to perform at the White House, and he went on to have a successful decades-long career that took him to stages around the world. Famous stage pianist. What else do we have here? It opens in 1866 as Tom and his guardian, Eliza Bethune, struggle to adjust to their fashionable apartment in the city in the aftermath of riots that had driven them away a few years before. But soon a stranger arrives from the mysterious island of Edgemere, inhabited solely by African settlers and black refugees from the war and riots, who intends to reunite Tom with his now liberated mother. This is one of these novels that I think spans the person's whole life. It's sort of a fictional biography of Blind Tom. Song of the Shank, and that's the Grey Wolf lead title. Here's another big Grey Wolf novel, Cataract City, Craig Davidson. On the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, life beyond the tourist trade isn't easy. Owen Stuckey and Duncan Diggs long to escape a life of work on a production line, but their ties to Cataract City are hard to break. The memory of a nightmarish abduction they endured as boys won't fade, and their friendship is tried by their competing love for Edwina, who falls for one man, and then the other. Despite the pull Edwina exerts on Duncan, she can't prevent his descent into a desperate world of greyhound races, bare-knuckle brawls, and smuggling. When Owen bucks his duties as a cop to save his friend, both men are forced to survive in the wilderness once more. I can't read the final sentence of that description. I don't like it. This looks like a lot of fun. A gripping portrayal of friendship, survival, and regret from the Rust and Bone author, Craig Davidson. Okay, not a debut. One of his books was made into a movie starring Marion Cotillard. And this is Grey Wolf. Pioneer Girl by Bitman Nguyen. This is from the author of Stealing Buddha's Dinner, which is a memoir, and a novel, Short Girls. I love that name. Her work has appeared in publications including Found Magazine and the New York Times. And she lives in San Francisco. Okay, so the thing about this is that it's about the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants who starts to believe that her family is tied to Laura Ingalls Wilder. And she becomes obsessed with Little House on the Prairie and Laura Ingalls Wilder and tracing her family's unlikely connection to them. And I think the reason that I think that's interesting is because we see that a lot with nonfiction, sort of gimmicky memoirs, like My Year Living in the Old Testament and like My Year playing hopscotch every day, whatever, I don't know. But I think 3 years ago, there was that book Treasure Island with all the exclamation points. It was a novel about sort of attaching yourself to another work of fiction. Maybe there's an essay there about that practice. Anyway, that's Viking, and it comes out. You don't want to tell me. Oh, it's out. It came out in February. So if we did that one, we'd probably want to do something broader, like comparing it to another novel that does something similar, or not just a review or an interview. The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry what I want to tell you about this is that it's by Gabrielle Zevin. If any of you remember reading her book Elsewhere, which came out when, I don't remember when it came out. I read it when I was an intern at FSG a bazillion years ago. But she writes YA and adult fiction. This is a romantic bookseller's book about bookselling. It's like an irascible alcoholic man whose life is falling apart. And then the lovely and idealistic, if eccentric, nightly press sales rep, Amelia, refuses to be deterred by AJ's bad attitude. Kate Moss, Citadel. Maybe it's Mossy, I don't know. This is by the author of several best-selling novels. Labyrinth is one of them. This is a big book, the Doorstopper novel, and all I'm going to tell you, because I think she's famous enough so you can look up everything about her, is that this is France, 1942, and two brave, daring young women, Sandrine Vidal and her elder sister, Marianne, the women of Citadel work quickly to sabotage their German occupiers. Stillwater by Nicole Helge. This is a Minnesota book. This is historical fiction about the Civil War, Underground Railroad, Mississippi River, Canada, Minnesota, fraternal twins separated at birth who have a mystical connection. One of them lives among orphans, nuns, Native Americans, and prostitutes. And the other one lives in the town mansion in taffeta skirts with a manic mother. But it also says the most promising Minnesota writer in a generation. And this has a lovely cloud. And The Wives of Los Alamos, our last piece of historical fiction. In this fascinating and artful debut, Tara Shea Nesbitt gives voice to the women closest to one of the gravest and most telling moments in our collective history, the development and testing of the nuclear bomb at Los Alamos. With chilling implications and charged, sure-footed prose, this is a novel and writer of consequence. Blurbs from Paula McLean, Gail Godwin, Madeline Miller, and starred reviews in Publishers Weekly and Booklist. When did this come out? February. Bloomsbury. Anyway, if you're interested in any of these books, I'm just gonna Wives of Los Alamos, Stillwater, Storied Life of A.J. Thickery, Pioneer Girl, Cataract City, Song of the Shank, A Fairy Tale, High as the Horse's Bridles, Inappropriate Behavior, The Petals of Your Eyes, Erotic Prose and Lyrical Weirdness, and Navidad and Matanza, Citadel. Oh, and last, The Girl Who Came Home by Hazel Gaynor. Hazel Gaynor is writing a shop talk post for us next week. And this is her book, The Novel of the Titanic. It comes out in April from William Morrow. Inspired by true events. And I trust she means more than just the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic. Anyway, those are the books. Let me know if you want one. And if you don't see me regularly, let me know your address and I'll send it to you. And if you think you want to review or something, or interview something, or review two of them, or anything you want, let me know, and I'll get you what you need. Thanks.